Today we're working on a study composed by Ernst Holm. As we assess the position with white to move, we can notice we've inherited quite a difficult position. We're down a bit of material, and our knight on b6 is hanging. But this is definitely not the entire story. We do have an advance past pawn on d6, ready to advance on the next turn. I assure you we're going to spend plenty of time looking at that option, but it's worth noting that we should briefly consider the most forcing moves first. We can attack the enemy king with knight c4 or knight d5, which would actually hang the knight in that case. But even knight c4 just feels like a spite check, as black can centralize the king with king d4, attacking our knight, when it isn't clear what we accomplished by attacking the king. In general, we try to avoid a one-move threat if there's an easy one-move reply. Okay, our knight is hanging, but it does an excellent job defending the d7 square. This means that especially after considering our alternatives, or lack thereof, we can march toward our puzzle solution by advancing the d-pawn forward. Our knight is currently immune from capture as we've created a stronger threat, promoting our pawn into a queen. So black sensibly defends the promotion square with rook b8. The name of this game is promoting our advanced d-pawn, so blocking the rook is essential, continuing with knight c8. Now that the rook no longer protects the d8 square, it looks like black's resources are coming to an end. However, the pawn on e6 turns out to be well placed. As surprising as that may appear, it prepares a resilient resource after rook takes b5. Well, it is true that we can promote our pawn into a queen, but now our newly promoted queen is aligned with our king on the d-file, allowing the nasty fork rook d5, attacking the king and newly promoted queen. Since the e6 pawn is annoyingly placed to support rook d5, we need to figure out how to prevent the rook from accessing this critical square. Well, the two candidate moves that come to mind are knight b6, which appears to hang our knight, as well as the more reasonable-looking knight e7. Well, let's first take a look at the more reasonable-looking knight e7. This does defend the d5 square, and we're ready to promote our pawn on the next turn. Unfortunately, this does encourage black to simply return to the back rank. It appears that knight c6 is a good move, attacking the rook while preparing to support the pawn's promotion. In this case, the rook can simply wait with a move such as rook a8, defending the promotion square on d8, ready to sacrifice itself as needed when the game fizzles out into a draw. And if we try to repeat moves with knight c8, instead of repeating the position with rook b5, hoping that white doesn't find the winning solution, now that the b-file is completely open, black can play a move such as rook b3. And if we decide to promote our pawn, once again we fall for that annoying fork trick with rook d3. Well, the sensible-looking knight e7 became less sensible once we realized rook b8 was an excellent defense for black. This means we have to seriously consider the move that remains, the creative knight b6. You know, at first glance we may avoid looking at this move as it appears to hang our knight, but is it actually hanging? If black captures our knight, then we can simply promote our pawn into a queen, and there's no annoying fork trick from the d6 square, as we would simply capture the rook. This incredibly brave knight does an excellent job blocking access to the back rank, as well as the d-file. But we're not exactly out of the woods just yet, as black has another trick, moving the rook to b4. And whether the rook moves to b4, as is the case in the puzzle, or rook b3, we actually have the same solution. With either move, black is preparing to attack the enemy king on the d-file, gaining a critical tempo while defending the promotion square. Only a move ago, the knight offered itself on b6, blocking access to the back rank at the same time. Well, we have to ask this knight for an additional sacrifice by playing knight d5, forking the king and rook, but more importantly, blocking the rook's ability to defend the promotion square. This means that after black accepts the offer that simply cannot be refused, the hanging knight on d5, the d-pawn blocks its own rook from defending the critical promotion square, allowing us to promote our pawn into a queen, solving today's daily puzzle.